All right, No Look Podcast. Your boy Yo Soy, the man. Goddamn, he's extra giggly this morning. We're back, and football is also back. Tyler, I mean, what a way to kick off the 2021 NFL season last night. Bucks versus Cowboys. Unfortunately, we didn't drop our episode prior to the game, so we can't give our predictions, but we can give our reactions. As a Bucks fan, Tyler, what was your what was your initial reaction to last night's game?
Well, first off, happy Friday. I think that uh, anytime that we do a Friday morning, it should be waking up with Wheezy.
Wheezy's wake up. I like that.
That's what I was giggling at. It just came across my mind. I'm like, waking up with Wheezy.
I'm like, do I got something in my teeth? This dude just starts
Nah,
laughing out of nowhere.
this guy's up ass crack of dawn, 8 a.m. It's 11 a.m. my time, so I've been up for a few hours. But it was electric in Tampa Bay last night. No pun intended with electricity and lightning or anything like that. But um, absolute thriller of a game. I, if I were to predict this, I would have said exactly what would have happened. High scoring game. Uh, Bucks coming back to win it. I could have seen that. I was very though impressed with Dak Prescott. Obviously coming off of that gruesome ankle injury, throwing for over 400 yards. Three touchdowns. He looked a little bit mobile in the pocket, which is incredible since his ankle was facing the other way.
Mm.
9 months ago. Guy rushes back, comes back, plays an amazing game against the Super Bowl champions. A great defense. Some say one of the best in the league. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, I mean, you knew going into that game with the Buccaneers defensive front, it was going to be tough to rush the ball. Obviously, Zeke, I don't know what the final number of touches were, but definitely didn't end with, a high amount of yardage. I every time I saw him touch the ball, it was either at or close to the line of scrimmage, which in turn, like Tyler mentioned, led to a massive aerial attack on the Cowboys' part. Dak Prescott throwing for over 400 yards. CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper both going over 100 receiving yards. Solid start to the season for them. On the opposite side of the ball, Brady also did his thing. He had two interceptions. I'm not sure either were his fault. Definitely not one. Obviously, throwing the Hail Mary before
Yeah.
halftime. Um,
Well, definitely not both because the other one went through, I think it was Godwin's hands or,
Fournette, yeah, they
oh,
tried.
Fournette. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a great pass, but I mean, you definitely got to corral that. I mean, speaking of that, I mean, that's one instant takeaway for me is what's going on in this Tampa Bay backfield.
Right.
Ronald Jones goes in, has an early fumble. He doesn't play for the rest of the game.
Which
Fournette,
is how Arians operates.
right, kind of puts him in the doghouse. I'm sure he'll be back out there soon enough. Fournette plays out the game. We saw a little bit of Gio Bernard. Do you think that they're still going to go with that 1-2 punch, or do you think they're trying to find their three down back and then maybe mix in Geo on those passing downs and situations?
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't even think Leonard Fournette is the option for this offense. And I'm not saying that because I have Rojo in a fantasy league or anything like that. I think Rojo is a more solid option. The problem is that he's just like Zeke. He's just like Le'Veon Bell. He's just like a lot of running backs in the league. You got to feed him the ball constantly, get his confidence up, get his motor running. When you take him out of the backfield to insert Leonard Fournette, it kind of takes away because Rojo and Leonard are very similar in running styles. You add Giovanni Bernard to either one of those, and that offsets it with that James White role, as they mentioned 16 times last night.
Hmm.
Um, I think personally that Ronald Jones is the best option for this offense. I don't even think Leonard Fournette, he takes away from the youth and also the building of a powerful runner. We saw him, break for a 97-yard touchdown last year against the Panthers. He's a strong runner. He's fast. He's elusive. The problem is that I think so far out of the gates is that they're taking away his stride by not only starting him but taking away his touches with Fournette.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shapes out. Obviously, the outcome was positive. They ended up winning the game, but overall great start to the season, back and
I
forth.
mean, the on the other side of the spectrum, though, you said I wonder how many Zeke had. 11 rushing attempts for 33 yards, 2 targets, 2 receptions on 6 yards receiving. Obviously, Zeke fantasy owners punching the air after watching that. But if I'm being honest, I'm not surprised. You know, you're going up against one of the best front lines in football in defense, a great linebacking secondary, or a great linebacker crew, and then you know they're returning all 22 starters. And also you don't have your best blocker in Zach Martin due to COVID.
Right. Yeah, no, Zeke fantasy owners, I wouldn't be too concerned right now. Like you said, Tyler, one of the best, if not the best, rush defenses in the league. I think he's going to get his turn. Also, Dak coming off that injury from last season, I feel like he had a little bit to prove. He had a chip on his shoulder. And, I think I don't think he played his best game of the year, which on obviously 400 yards passing,
Yeah.
you can't get
I
too
mean,
much better
on
than that. But
54 attempts or 55 attempts,
yeah,
that's how many you should have. That I mean, in all honesty, the Cowboys should honestly even look to go that direction. Maybe take Zeke out of the backfield more often. Insert Tony Pollard, who's a better receiving back. They have, like you said, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup played really well last night. Dalton Schultz at tight end. I mean, they have great receiving core. Granted, I think CeeDee Lamb probably should have had a lot more yards. He dropped 3 balls, last night,
hmm
which were like literally in his hands. So I think Dak should have even had more opportunity. And let's not forget, Greg Zuerlein missing a 31-yard field goal, missing an extra point, missing a 55, which is unlike him, but he is coming off of the back surgery. So
yeah,
that should have easily been the Cowboys game. But what I'll say, to finish is that Tom Brady proved last night that he is the greatest quarterback in the NFL today and in history. And I'll say this, it's not because, of all of his accolades. All of the balls that were dropped last night by the Bucks, by Chris Godwin, by Mike Evans, by I don't think Gronk dropped any, but they were all on the money. They were
hmm
literally right there. It just had to be caught. So he's still as sharp as attack. He's still going to be a problem this year. He's still got it essentially at the end of the day. And, obviously shout out Gronk, his security blanket, coming out playing a huge fucking game,
hmm
along with Antonio Brown, who showed out as well. So it was a solid W for the old guys last night, 30 and over club.
Yeah, no, Tom Brady in his 22nd season showing no signs of regression there. But we've talked enough about that, Tyler. Let's move on to the slate of games we have on Sunday, and I can't really express how excited I am just to sit down on the couch, red zone, some buffalo chicken, a few brewskis or claws. It's gonna be good. The first game I got pulled up right here: Seahawks versus Colts. Tyler, probably I was gonna say like the second biggest offseason quarterback scandal with Russell Wilson, but I might put Deshaun up there.
Mm,
Anyways, another quarterback situation in the offseason with Russell Wilson didn't last nearly as long as the whole Aaron Rodgers deal. He's back. He's ready to play. He's got DK. He's got Lockett, Gerald Everett. Chris Carson. We're seeing all these crazy workout videos of him in the offseason. If he can stay healthy, he's definitely one of the better backs in the league. I might go on the fence and say top 10. Colts on the other side of it. I think last I heard, they're saying Carson Wentz is going to try to give it a go
yep.
for week one, which definitely changes the outcome of the game and I think how the Colts perform because, he's shown flashes of potential when he's healthy. They have a good receiving core, Pittman, Campbell. I think Ty is on the IR right now, so he's not going to be
Yeah.
playing in this one. I'm just going to go straight into my predictions. I'm going to go Seahawks in this one. I think they're just too sound right now. I think the Colts have a little bit better advantage on the defensive side of the ball, but they have a new quarterback. They have a lot of young guys. I'm not sure if the rushing attack with Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack can get it done.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. I had the Seahawks over the Colts. Although defense wins championships, and the Colts have probably a top three, maybe top four, top five defense in the league. In the offseason, signing Darius Leonard to the biggest contract for a middle linebacker. Their secondary solid. I just think I can't trust Carson Wentz enough in this offense just yet. And granted, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be a great back out of the backfield behind one of the best offensive lines in football right now. I just don't think right now the Colts are a team that can beat the Seahawks yet. I'm not saying that it can't happen later on down the road. But right now, especially coming off of all the injuries, the COVID lists, so on and so forth, I think the Seahawks are just going to have too much offensive firepower and beat the Colts. I'm honestly thinking it's going to be like a 3-point game, so by 3.
All right. Yeah, I mean, definitely two defensive oriented teams. It'll be an interesting one. Next game we have up on the schedule, Tyler, the first stinker of the year. We got the Jags versus the Texans. I mean, I who are the Texans even or Tyrod, right? They're starting
Yeah,
Tyrod at
going with
quarterback right
Tyrod.
now. They got three running backs. I'm not even sure if they know who's going to get most of the touches yet. Jaguars, rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence. They have a decent defense. They've been hit with the injury bug a little bit with Etienne. I guess I don't even know. I always look at it and want to say Etten, but I guess I've heard people say Etienne. So James Robinson, he's going to have another
Wet.
opportunity to prove that last year was no fluke. Tyler, I'm going to go. I don't know if you can call it an upset, but I think the Texans come out and shock the Jaguars in this one. I think Trevor Lawrence, he didn't really show enough to me in preseason. I think he's going to come around. He's going to get a little bit more experience under his belt, and he's going to be just fine. But with that being said, I think the Texans come out and, they don't have a lot to play for. I think everyone in that locker room kind of knows, hey, we're not a playoff team. We're not going to do much this season. But they're fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for pride. And I think the Jaguars, Urban Meyer, young team, young coach in the NFL at least, they're still trying to find their identity. So I'm going to go Texans in this one.
I'm going to go quite the opposite. And guess what, Austin? The shit
Uh-oh.
pumping game of the week is back this year, and I'm going with it. Why not? Low stakes, high reward on this one. I'm going Jaguars over Texans. I'm going the opposite of what you're saying. I think the Jaguars' offense is explosive with talent. If it can tap into that potential, obviously they don't have a great offensive line, but you got DJ Chark, you got James Robinson, who's coming off a solid year. Trevor Lawrence, obviously one of the greatest college football quarterbacks in history. They signed what's his face, Marvin Jones.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, Marvin Jones. They got a deep roster at wide receiver, so there's plenty of options. It's if they give them enough time in the pocket to throw to those options, if they can establish a run game. The Texans literally have no one. And they don't have Deshaun Watson. They literally only have Brandon Cooks. They have like a three-head run game with David Robinson, Philip Lindsay, and I think someone else is in there.
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram. So it's not great. It's not great. So Tyler shit pumping game of the week is back. Jaguars over the Texans. Trevor Lawrence bringing it to the NFL
Mm.
like he did in college. I'm excited. I'm stoked.
Interesting game to be stoked about. Next matchup, or another game, I should say, to not
I
be
will
too
say
excited of.
also in that Jaguars Texans game, if you have any of those players in fantasy, I feel like this is a great opportunity to start them. Maybe test the waters. It's going to be a high scoring game because neither of these teams have really great defenses.
Right. I'm almost thinking that's one of those trap games where you want to hammer the over, but these teams are just so bad that it's going to be a complete shit show and no one's going to score points. But I
Well,
guess
what's
we'll
the over under? Because if it's like 40 something, I will bet $1,000 on it.
let's see here. 45 and a half.
Oh my God. Hello, Capcom. I'm taking out a loan.
Betting the house on the over in this one. We'll see what
Bro,
happens.
over on that one by a landslide. If you don't bet the over, you're a fucking pussy.
Hey, you know what they say? Life's too short to bet the under. And the next game we got going on, a little aerial matchup. We got the Eagles versus the Falcons. Tyler, what do you like in this one?
I had to think about this a little bit. I think this is going to be an even matchup because the Eagles, they have a lot of question marks, guys coming off of injuries. The Falcons, they have Mike Davis, who's a big question mark out of their backfield this year. Obviously had a good year last year, but can he repeat? Is he a full-time down back? Matt Ryan obviously up there in age, losing his number one target in Julio Jones. Their defense, they have some good young guys, but is it enough? I don't think so. I think the Eagles take the win in Atlanta. I think Jalen Hurts shows that he's a perennial quarterback. Obviously, adding Devonta Smith, maybe they'll establish a little bit of a run game between Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. But I just think they're gonna clip the Falcons, clip their wings. No pun
Oh,
intended.
well,
In a small marginal, not shit pumping. We need an opposite of a shit pumping, like minuscule game of the week, because that's what
mm,
this one's gonna be.
all right, I like it. I'm gonna agree with you here. I think the Eagles are gonna come out on top. Um, I don't know what's going on right now in that Eagles locker room. They say they are confident in Jalen Hurts, but then they bring in Minshew. Obviously, there's still kind of a behind the scenes, if you will, competition going on there for quarterback. Clearly, the Eagles aren't 100% confident in Hurts if they made that move to bring in Minshew. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, we've seen what he has done on the field, more so in college probably. The guy's a winner. I think with a solid team around him, they got a decent receiving core. They brought in the Heisman winner, Devontae Smith. They have solid tight end duo with Goddard and Ertz. I think the defense is going to do just enough in this one. I'll be interested to see how Matt Ryan does, Tyler. He's kind of been a guy where people are like, oh, he's getting up there in age. Maybe the Falcons should try to trade him, bring someone new in, get a draft pick. But they're sticking with him. Matty Ice, the beloved Falcon.
Forgot about Kyle Pitts too.
Yeah.
Big name, highest drafted tight end in NFL history. The
Well,
one thing I will say though, fantasy wise, I think Jalen Hurts is actually going to be a top 5 quarterback this season in terms of fantasy points. I think they're going to establish him more like a Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson, where yeah, we're going to scramble outside the pocket. If you see a lane, take it. So he's going to have a lot of rushing yards this season. I think he's going to have a killer passing season.
mm-hmm.
I mean, out of camp, they're saying Jalen, or is it, well, either way, Rieger or whatever his name is,
Jalen
uh,
Rager, yeah.
Rager is having a phenomenal preseason / training camp. So, he's going to come off of a poor rookie season and probably show out. But like you said, double duo with Goddard. Ertz is no slump, even though everybody's writing him off. I think the
Mm.
Eagles' offense is an underdog this season that is willing to show that they're better than everybody says.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Hurts won a lot of people some fantasy leagues last year when
Fuck you.
when he when I picked him up and he balled out for sure. Yeah, we'll see. First game, for the Falcons in a decade without Julio Jones would be interesting to see how that plays out. The next matchup we got, Tyler, I guess you can call them my new hometown team. We got the Chargers versus the Washington football team. The LA Chargers practice facility about 5 miles away from where I work. So that's pretty cool. This one, I think if I had a shit pumping game of the week, this would be mine. I'm gonna pick the Chargers all day. Justin Herbert, you know, he was offensive player of the year last year,
Yeah.
or rookie, excuse me. I think he comes out. This might be a wild take, Tyler, but I'm gonna
Okay.
put him as like a
Couldn't be as wild as a Trey Young take.
no, no, no. You're the king of wild takes, as Connor Chuck likes to remind you. But no, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Justin Herbert finishes in the top 5 of MVP votes this year. I think he has a great team around him, a lot of offensive weapons.
I could see that.
Yeah, a healthy Austin Eckler, who I don't like from a fantasy standpoint, he still produces. If Mike Williams can stay healthy, obviously Keenan Allen. Um, the defensive players, Bosa, Derwin James are back. Casey
That's
Hayward.
huge.
Yeah, they got a lot of solid players. So I think they come out and they have a solid game in this one. The Washington football team, I'm interested to see how they play this season, Tyler. I'm not sure that they're as competitive as you think they are. As you mentioned earlier, you think the NFC East is competitive. I think that's another wild, outrageous take from you. They do have a good defense. Magic. I'm not sure how much magic he has left in the tank. I am a big fan of Antonio Gibson, though. I think he finishes as a top 7 back from a fantasy standpoint. I won't quite say top 5. So some promising signs there for a young Washington football team, but for me, it's all bolts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's quite outrageous as you think, saying that the NFC East is going to be a wild division. It has been year in and year out. Not great football, but it's always, well, they're a game or a half a game behind, or so on and so forth. So, but I'm actually going the opposite. I'm going Washington over the Chargers. Did they
Mhm.
confirm that Austin Eckler is playing this week?
I can find out real quick. I'm not
I
sure.
think they said that he is going to be out. Um, but also, I'm going on the Fitzmagic train. Every year, year in, year out, he decides to come out week one, have 500 passing yards. Hopefully their defense, steps up to the plate. Obviously, an overhyped defense. Everybody's saying how they're one of the best in the league. Chase Young, one of the greatest in the league right now, defensive end wise. Uh, they have a great secondary. I love Justin Herbert. I agree with your take. Top 5 for sure in MVP voting. He has all the weapons around him. I just think it's going to take maybe a few games to get there to establish it. Obviously didn't play a lot with Keenan Allen last year, who's going to be his number one target. Mike Williams, can he stay healthy? They lost Hunter Henry this year. I just don't think that the Chargers win this game purely based on them not being. It's kind of like the Colts, them not being at this point yet to beat the Washington football team. I think if this game was maybe next week or the week after, it would be, like you said, a shit pumping game of the week. But since you're coining my phrase, Austin, let's make a little side wager. Whoever's shit pumping game of the week actually comes to fruition, they own it this season. So if you win this, you own the shit pumping game of the week.
I
Obviously,
don't want to own that. It's like we're
obviously,
playing Monopoly and I land on the utilities. I don't want to own that shit.
no, you land on Brown, you don't want to own that. Utilities are good. But yeah, if you win it, you have to take it. You're gonna steal the phrase, you got to own it.
All right. I'm just
It's
saying
like
right now I'm not giving up my speak into existence game.
that's fine. I'll allow it.
All right. But to answer your question, they are hopeful that Eckler plays this week, so it looks like he's going to be a game time decision. I think leaning towards playing, barring any setbacks. Next game, Tyler, we got a good old fashioned. Are these both the A? What was it before? It was the NFL?
The AFL?
AFL. I think these are two old AFL teams. We got the Steelers versus the Bills. Definitely two of
Probably.
the rowdiest, fan bases. Who do you like in this one?
This is tough for me. I have a lot of family in Buffalo. I have a lot of family in Pittsburgh. This is going to be a huge game, a huge momentum swing of a game for either of the teams that are playing in it. Steelers just signing TJ Watt to the highest, I think, defensive end contract this season. Just yesterday, he walked into the office, said, "Art Rooney, I'll take your deal.
Mm-hmm.
Sign me. I'm not asking for more money. I just want to play some goddamn football." I think that's electric. But I'm going Bills in this one. I think the Bills have a much stronger offense. Josh Allen coming off of a huge contract. They have all the confidence in the world in him. He has Stephon Diggs back. Maybe Cole Beasley decides to play if he, masks up. whatever the case may be. I just love their offense. I think, Josh Allen is the biggest playmaker in the AFC North, probably one of the biggest in the AFC, who's going to also be in our top 5 conversation for MVPs this season. Their defense is strong. Their secondary is strong. I just don't think the Steelers can match up well against this Bills team just purely based off of offensive firepower. I can't trust Big Ben. They're also having, who's their running back? Like, who's the running back this season for the Steelers?
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris, huge question mark. Is he going to perform like he did at Bama? I think it's possible, but I don't think he has a strong of offensive line as most people think. Claypool is a questionary person. Is he going to step up? Same with Deontay. Is it Deontay Washington?
Johnson.
James Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So many goddamn players in my mind. I got a big head. I got so much information in here. It's just hard to remember them all. But no, I'm going to go Bills. This is going to be another minuscule game, I think. A great matchup. 2 good defenses going up against 2 good offenses. But I'm going to give the edge to the Bills because I think it's in Buffalo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's why I picked Buffalo over the Steelers. Huge. Fans are rowdy. I already, talked to my cousins. Buffalo is about to turn upside down. They're so excited. They want to run through brick walls and tables and chairs and ladders, and you jump off of Winnebagos through a fucking brick wall. They're pumped for football to be back.
Yeah, I can tell, and I'm going to agree with you on this one. Part of me wanted to pick the Steelers because I think there is an interesting dynamic there. They have a very well-rounded team. I think these two teams match up well. There's a lot of conversation in the offseason about Big Ben. They're saying, oh, he's found a new interest in his diet and his workouts. I'm not sure if that means doing a few extra 12-ounce curls, but that remains to be seen how he plays on the field and how that translates. I think Najee Harris will be fine. The defense is going to be fine. But the Bills, they're almost to that point. When they lost a few years ago in the playoffs to the Texans, I thought they were the better team. I thought they were still too young. They were kind of still finding their identity. They were still figuring some stuff out. They need a little bit more experience. I think they are there. I think this could potentially be the Bills' year. Obviously, they have a pretty tough AFC against the Chiefs. Maybe the Browns in the mix. The Titans are probably going to be solid.
Ravens.
Yeah.
Ravens, Steelers. I mean, a lot of it's up in the air.
Barring the injury.
True,
situation.
Depending on the AFC North. I mean, you got 3 teams right there with the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens who are super tough.
Yeah, and a Joe Burrow Bengals team that has potential to do some good
They're
things.
going to make some noise.
Yeah, but no. So to get to the point, Bills Mafia, they're going to be breaking some tables, and I think the Bills football team is going to be breaking some Steelers fans' hearts in this one. I have the Bills coming out on top. The next matchup.
I am excited, by the way, for all the videos, but when I was up in Pennsylvania with my cousins from Buffalo, they actually told me that they're flying down to Tampa when they face the Bills in Tampa. So you might see a video of me in the future of me jumping through a table is all I'm going to say.
You got to get a little Rey Mysterio costume on, just fucking do a backflip off of Winnebago.
I'll do the Jeff Hardy Swanton bomb off.
Oh my God, that would be great.
I come into work the next day with a broken back.
Full body cast. He's just
Yeah.
Ashley's rolling him in, just in the wheelchair. That'd be great. So next game, I don't know what to make of this one, Tyler. The 49ers, they go to the Super Bowl and then they completely stink it up last season, facing off against the Lions, who, much like the Texans, not much to play for this season. Jared Goff, he got kicked off the Rams and ends up in Detroit. I'm not sure if that kind of tells you the whole dynamic of how those two teams, view their seasons. I guess I got to lean towards the Niners. They got a better defensive team. They have some offensive weapons. Is Garoppolo starting as of right now?
Yeah, it looks like Garoppolo's starting. Trey Lance, I feel like you would hear it if Trey Lance was starting. That would be
Yeah.
the biggest news on ESPN today. Um, but no, I'm gonna agree with you on this one. I'm not gonna spend much time. I don't think the Lions are good on defense. I don't think they're good on offense. And I especially this is a tune-up game for the Niners. Luckily for them, they get one tune-up game to start the season. Obviously George Kittle. You got Brandon Ayuk, who's coming out. Now they're saying he's going to be, part running back, part wide receiver, going to be an elusive kind of offensive player for the Niners. They got Raheem Mostert coming back off of injury. I think this Niners offense is gonna be fine this season. A lot of it's just gonna be dependent on their offensive line, and on defense they signed Fred Warner to a huge deal. So I think the Niners definitely, I wouldn't say shit pump, but I think they beat the Lions.
Yeah, I mean that would be, if we're talking gambling, this would be my lock of the week. I think the spread's at 7.5. I think the Niners win by at least 2 touchdowns. Next matchup we got over here, Vikings versus Bengals. Tyler, does this excite you at all?
It does, and I actually think we're going to disagree on this one. I actually know we're going to disagree on this one. I'm going Vikings over Bengals. Reason for it, I think that the Vikings just have a stronger defense than the Bengals defense. Granted, the Bengals obviously have I think it's Bates the third
Hmm.
in their secondary. I just don't think that's going to be enough to stop Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Obviously, there's question marks at tight end with Irv Smith being down for the season, but I just think the Vikings are a stronger team. Although I love the Bengals, I could see them, taking this game against the Vikings. Joe Burrow coming out strong. I'm iffy on Joe Burrow right now, coming off that injury. Obviously, he gets his best friend Jamar Chase in the draft. T. Higgins, who's going to have a huge year this year. They're saying. Mixon, Kenny come out and actually perform. They bolstered their offensive line. I just think the Vikings are just a little bit stronger. Again, if this game was a little bit down the road, I could see myself swinging the Bengals' way, but right now I got to go with the Vikings.
Yeah, well, you're correct. You are going to go opposite me here. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think this one, surprisingly, is going to be a shootout. I hope, Kirk Cousins, he's going to have to say his 3 Hail Marys because he's going to need all the help he can get. They got Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson over there. On the opposite side, like you mentioned, Joe Mixon, a bunch of good young receivers, and Higgins, Jamar Chase. They still have Tyler Boyd as well. I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think the Bengals and Joe Burrow come out on top.
Interesting. I would love to see it personally. I love this young offense personally. I think they're one of the most exciting, or have the potential to be the most exciting. I could also see Joe Burrow throwing over 4,000 yards this season if he decides to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a crazy take for once, Tyler. Spitting a somewhat normal take. But yeah, definitely, obviously, barring any injuries, that's a big question mark. So we got the next game on the schedule: Jets versus Panthers. Sam Darnold, he
Revenge game.
doesn't have to wait long at all for a revenge game against the Jets. I'll kick this one to you. I think I started off the last couple.
I'm gonna go Panthers over Jets. This one was super easy for me. Sam Darnold, revenge game. Obviously, having a much stronger team around him with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Oh, did I forget the best running back in the game, CMC in his backfield? I think this is too easy. Panthers are gonna cruise past the Jets. I think Sam Darnold's gonna show out. He has something to prove after being a top pick and then being sent packing to the Panthers to be replaced by Zach Wilson, who I think isn't even going to be that great in New York or anywhere if he went. Um, so I'm going Panthers over Jets.
Okay, I mean that's a safe pick. I am gonna flip the script and go opposite of you. Kind of a wild take, I guess, for this one. The Jets. I think they find some fool's gold early on, in the early end of this season. I do like Zach Wilson. In contrast to your opinion, I think he showed some promising signs in the preseason. I think they have some decent pieces. They brought in Corey Davis, right? They have Crowder back, Denzel
Crowder's out
Mims.
this season, this game.
Is he?
Yeah,
Uh,
he's got COVID.
okay. Tevin Coleman. Obviously, they have Carter, right? The other
Michael Carter.
Marco Carter, the other young back who they're excited about. They've been bolstering this team with, a plethora of picks over the past few years. I think they come out in a kind of nothing to lose, a lot to prove game and end up taking the win. Now, with that being said, I think the inevitable will happen where the Jets just,
Jets.
catch fire and the Jets are going to Jets throughout the season. They finish 5-12. Whereas the Panthers, I think, have a winning record. I think they have a solid team. And I do like Sam Darnold. He has a lot of weapons there. Obviously, CMC is going to go crazy. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. But for this one, I think early on, before the Panthers hit their stride, I think the Jets steal one.
So I think the Jets actually win half of those. I don't even think they win 5. I'd be surprised if they win 3.
I mean, I just feel like they're gonna come out like 2-1 or something. The Jets fans are like, "Oh, we're back, baby, we're good." Zach Wilson, he's the promised one, and then they just lose like 15 straight. Next game, Cardinals Titans. Tyler, this is one of the more interesting games. Titans, obviously, big acquisition in the offseason. Julio Jones, furthering their case as being an offensive juggernaut team. They obviously have King Henry. I don't know if they're calling him 2K Henry yet or what, but he did rush for 2,000 yards last season. On the opposite side of the ball, you have another team that made some acquisitions. Obviously, last year they brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They have an interesting situation at running back with Chase Edmonds, James Conner. We'll see how those splits turn out. Decent defense. They also brought in AJ Green. That's an interesting acquisition. So they have the targets there for Kyler Murray. But
they also brought in former Raider great Rodney Hudson at center to help bolster that offensive line.
All right, yep, definitely knew that one.
you can't be good without a good center.
No, I mean he touches the ball every play, so you gotta you gotta have a solid center there. I just think the Titans too much. They've been to the AFC Championship game a couple years ago, made the playoffs last year. I think Julio comes in, shows he's still got some gas left in the tank, even though some people in our fantasy league don't agree with me. And I think it's going to be too much for the Cardinals.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. I'm gonna say Titans over Cardinals as well. And I think I learned something, Austin, without even a game being played by the Cardinals, is that I overhyped the Cardinals. I thought that they were going to be a team that's going to be 13-4, 14-3, unstoppable. I don't think that the pieces that they added make sense to the Cardinals. Yeah, you have DeAndre Hopkins, who's probably one of number 2 or 3 best wide receivers in the league behind Devontae Adams. But I just don't think, adding AJ Green, you have Chase Edmonds and James Conner in the backfield that really kind of offset the play style of a fast-paced offense because they're more bully ball runners. They added J.J. Watt, who's he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's gonna be that guy that's gonna be the run stopper, the sack leader in the NFL like he used to be. They play in one of the harder divisions in the NFL. They got the Seahawks, the Niners, the Rams. I honestly think they might even be bottom feeders this year, regardless of adding all this talent. I just think what they did was counterproductive, and I honestly think the Titans are going to wash them. I love Ryan Tannehill in this offense. I think he's dynamic. Adding Julio Jones only makes it even scarier. What are you going to do? Load the box? Pass it to Julio A.J. Brown? What are you going to do? Guard them? Oh, let's run 2,000 yards with Derrick Henry, who's top 2 running backs behind Alvin Kamara. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely...
I was waiting for you to say something.
I think I was already, on my next thing. Top 2 running backs. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a solid debate. I just think, I don't even know if you believe it as much as you say. You just like getting Nate going.
I just love Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
If he were in the same offense as, CMC, well, I don't even know. I can't even make that argument because he was great. I mean, you can't deny it. Statistically, it's so hard to go against CMC, Alvin Kamara, and Derrick Henry. It's just like they're all great in their own regards, but I just love the way Alvin Kamara plays. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't like ranking really. I like tiers. I would say those three are definitely tier one running
would you
backs.
put would you put Dalvin Cook in that tier?
I mean, skill
I know you
wise,
hate the Vikings. Like you literally
oh,
anytime I bring up the Vikings, it's always like fucking you just want to rage and like punch your computer screen.
I mean, not as much as I hate the Bears, but they're definitely
Yeah.
up there, just being in the Packers division. I think skill wise, Dalvin's there, just with his injury history and the amount of playing time has had. I don't think he's proven to be in that tier yet. This season, if he stays healthy, they're projecting him to be a top two running back, so he could bump himself up in that tier, but I don't think he's there yet. So, you went Titans on that one,
I
right?
went Titans over Cardinals, yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, Cardinals kind of have like like a my player Madden type team with all the ex Pro Bowlers
Right.
that they
It
added.
it it kind of reminds me of like what the Bucks are doing, but like Walmart grade, like
Yeah,
great value
JV team.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's kind of like the Lakers this season. Like anytime you see a former All-Star or Defensive Player of the Year, they're like,
yeah.
bring them in, baby.
Something's got to work, right? These guys
Yeah,
were good
something
at
gotta
one
click.
point.
Yeah.
Next game, another good one, Tyler. Last year's AFC Championship game, Cleveland Browns versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to start on this one because I
Go
have
for
I
it.
have a crazy take.
Love it.
I think this is the Browns' year, baby. Baker, he's gonna come out firing. This is the boom or bust year for the Baker and the Cleveland Browns. They have all the pieces there. They have arguably the best one-two punch at running back with Chubb and Hunt. They have
Easily.
OBJ back coming off an ACL injury. Remain to be seen how he recovers and plays from that. But I think this is a revenge year for OBJ. We saw him. He rose to stardom so fast. He was put on a pedestal. He's kind of that type of guy where everyone expected so much from him. So when he didn't live up to that expectation, they just viewed him as a bust. They say he has had locker room issues. I think he comes in with a little bit of humility, a little bit more humble, if you will. I think he puts the team first, and he has a solid year. Obviously, again, Jarvis Landry. Nothing against the Chiefs, right? I think that they're giving the Browns 6.5 points. I will say this is a lock from a betting standpoint. I think it's going to be a close one either way, but I'm going to go for you and I's gambling right on the records. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I like the Browns in this one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Chiefs pretty much bringing back everybody from last year, adding value into their offensive line. They completely rebolstered their
Madden
offensive line.
curse.
True, Madden curse. Although that didn't really work,
No,
last year. Lamar didn't get hurt,
no.
but um, they rebolstered their offensive line. Now they maybe adding some value to CEH. Damian Williams or whoever's back there.
Darrell Williams now.
Daryl Williams, yeah. But they got Tyreek back, the whole crew. But big but I don't think that they match up well against this Browns defense. I think the Browns have a stronger defense than the Chiefs do. Obviously, I think the Chiefs offense is explosive, but like you said, the potential is there for the Browns to have the same explosiveness on offense. I think, Hunt and Chubb is number one, the best 1-2 punch in the league. It's not even an argument. It just adds value to Baker's throwing when he can toss off the ball to Kareem Hunt. If he can't get Landry or OBJ or Hooper open, their offensive line is strong. Their defensive line is even stronger, adding Jadeveon Clowney, who came off of a solid year with the Titans. They have a great secondary. And I think this is a game that the Browns want because they lost obviously last year. The Chiefs ended their season, and they want to start the season off with kicking their teeth in and proving that they deserve, all the hype that they're getting. So I'm going
Yeah.
Browns over Chiefs on this one.
Okay. Yeah. Another a couple, I guess I should say, outlandish picks here in this game, but I like it. Another dynamic that I just thought of, Tyler. No Sammy Watkins this year for the Chiefs. Mecole Hardman stepping up as the uncontested wide receiver two. So it'll be interesting to see how he and the other receivers in that locker room step up.
I mean, I love Andy Reid. I think he's a amazing play caller, just like Bill Belichick is a mastermind. I just think that the Browns, they just on paper it should be the Browns game by 2 touchdowns, but obviously you
Hmm.
can't count out Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league right now,
Yeah, no, I just think
arguably.
much like the Bills, where a couple years ago they found the roster and they found the formula. They've had a couple years to perfect it, and we saw last year they put up a good fight in the AFC Championship game. Definitely coming out with a chip on their shoulders.
Right.
Yeah. So this next one, divisional matchup, we got the Dolphins versus the Patriots. Belichick handing over the keys to Mac Jones. Who do you like in this one?
I'm going Pats over Dolphins. I'm not completely sold on this Dolphins team, although I like the pieces that they surrounded Tua with Jalen Waddle, Miles Gaskin, um, former Penn State great Michael Gesicki. They have a decent defense. Obviously, Xavier Howard is on the trading block after wanting to be traded, but I think the Pats own the Dolphins, especially it's at home, right? It's at New England. Um,
Yes.
they own the Dolphins in New England. I think this is going to be a home, a home win for the Patriots, a welcoming of Mac Jones in their offense. Obviously, adding, former Raider great, my Eskimo bro, Nelson Aguilar, who I think is going to be dynamic for them. They got the 1-2 punch at tight end with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They have a great backfield with James White and they have like that three-headed horse, Stevenson, White, and who else is there?
Damian Harris.
Damien Harris. There we go.
Yeah.
Um, I just think that the Patriots, they know what they're doing. They're not gonna, try and force something like they did last season with Cam Newton. They have their guy. Mac Jones is the guy. He shot out the womb. Bill Belichick saw he was going to Alabama. He said, "I want that guy." And I think the Patriots defense is even stronger this year. So I'm going Pats over Dolphins easily.
All right. I'm gonna go opposite of you in this one. I think Tua comes out, and you hear these sophomore slumps. I think he has a sophomore bump. I'm not sure if that's a
Wow.
term. I just made that up. But no, you talked about they have some weapons. I do like Miles Gaskin in the backfield. Um, Receiver, right? They added the rookie Waddle. You just said, Devontae Parker, who I think fantasy guys have been rooting for him for the past 10 plus years, even though it's probably been more so like 4. I like Gasicki. I think he finishes as a top 10 receiving tight end this year. I don't know. I think the Patriots, they'll probably end up with a better overall record at the end of the season. But I think Mac Jones, it is going to take a little bit of time and experience for him to get settled into that offense and just feel comfortable. So I'm going to go Dolphins in this one.
I think he's already comfortable, but I will say, Austin, if this game was in Miami, I would go the other way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely home field advantage has
The
some factors to play in this one.
the history of the Patriots in Miami just doesn't bode well. So
Right, yeah. Yeah, that one game was crazy with all the laterals. Kenyon Drake. Um Tyler, real quick, do you know, did Dan specify, is there someone on right at 12 that we need to worry about?
no.
Okay. Just my
If so,
work then.
sorry. If so, sorry.
We'll try to get through this one quickly. 4 games left. Next one, Broncos Giants. I'm gonna go real quick. I think Saquon comes back again, chip on his shoulder. Kenny
Hopefully.
Galladay, he's proven
Hopefully.
to be a wide receiver one. I think Daniel Jones has himself a good year. He showed flashes of potential last year. I think, a year under his belt in that system, a solid offseason. I think the Giants come out on top. Teddy Bridgewater, never rooting against him. Always going to want him to succeed. But I think he's still got a little bit to learn in that offense.
I'm gonna go the opposite on this spectrum, and I'm gonna go Broncos over Giants. News out of the camp in New York or New Jersey, wherever the fuck they are, that the Giants are coming out slow. Even Kenny Galladay said it. I saw some footage of some offense versus defense. The Giants just did not look good. I think it's going to be a few games before they get to that point where Kenny Golladay gets into the offense, Saquon, Sterling Shepard, where they all start to gel with Daniel Jones this year. Obviously, they added some good pieces in the offensive line. Their defense is strong, having, half of the Packers alum on their team. But I just think Teddy Bridgewater is going to come out, with a chip on his shoulder. He has great options in Judy. Hopefully Noah Fant gets into the offense after coming off of an injury. And not saying fantasy wise or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think that the Broncos defense is just a little bit stronger to stopping that offensive firepower of the Giants.
All right. Yeah, it's gonna be a close one either way. I just something about the Giants in this
There's
one I like.
this game just
The
reminds me of
mystique.
like this game reminds me of like it's gonna be an odd scoring game, like 16-19 or some shit like that.
Yeah, probably definitely low scoring. Next game that will not be low scoring, and I think it's going to be all one sided. We got the Packers versus the Saints, and they're actually playing at the Jaguars Stadium, right?
Right.
In Jacksonville. I'm not sure why they didn't just give the Packers a home game. It's not going to matter. It's going to be all Packers in this one. The last dance, if you will, for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, obviously a little bit biased. I've been following the Packers more closely than other teams. They brought back Randall Cobb. You know, they have Devontae back, number one wide receiver. Bakhtiari's not playing in this one, but he is a number one left tackle in the league. Jair Alexander, arguably the number one corner in the league. They brought in Eric Stokes out of Georgia, who's going to be that number two corner. They have, a solid tight end core, maybe not a sexy, appealing one from a fantasy standpoint, but they do have Tanyan back. They have Segura, who they were, a lot of hope out of Cincinnati for him last year. Ended up going down with a season-ending injury. Jay Sternberger, I think he's found, settled into his role in this offense. Tyler's having a shit grin on his face because he's like, this guy's talking out his ass.
Hey, you're not talking out of your ass. Austin, I love how passionate you are about the Packers. I'm not taking it away from you. It's just so funny. Like, you get on this roll and you're like, I read so many fucking articles. I'm an owner. I get emails sent to me daily. I get alerts on my phone from Bleacher Report. This guy, Green Bay, just signed this guy already. Like, he knows more than
Get me in
everybody.
the booth, god damn it.
I mean, welcome to Packers Daily featuring ACWeezy and the man goddamn. I mean, fuck. But I already know what your pick is. We might as well get there. Packers over Saints.
Cheesy Wheezy. Let me finish out by saying another 1-2 running back punch. I think A.J. Dillon is going to come out and prove that he is a solid backup option. We saw him last year what he did when Jones went down. They're going to get him some touches. Packers by 1,000,000.
Packers by 1,000,000. I have Packers over Saints as well. And the main reason is I hate Jameis Winston. I think he's a terrible quarterback. I don't know why he's even signed to a team. Obviously, Michael Thomas is out. Alvin Kamara is going to be fighting for his life this season. Granted, I do love the Saints defense. It's no match for the top two quarterback in the league right now, Aaron Rodgers.
The reigning MVP?
I mean, top two, he's in between him and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they're within fighting distance of each other. I love Aaron. I just think him and Devontae Adams have chemistry that is unmatched. Again, Packers by 1,000,000, like Austin said.
Well, I'm glad you're agreeing with me on that one because you would have been foolish to go against the pack.
If the Saints had Drew Brees, I would have reconsidered.
I don't know about that. The Packers have had their number even with the, certified Hall of Famer Breeze, but we won't talk about the past like Tyler, often says. Let's move on to the future. Another game that will happen in the future this Sunday, Bears versus Rams. I don't know. I mean,
if there's two teams that Austin just doesn't know, this is like Bears versus Vikings. Anytime we get a week where the Bears versus the Vikings, Austin's like, coin flip.
Well, I mean, pretty much is Bears versus Lions. You got Stafford on the Rams this season.
True.
No, I do like the Rams. I think the only thing I was going to say is I think the Bears will be solid, with Justin Fields, just maybe not yet. I think it's going to take a few weeks for them to come around. The Rams, They have a solid team, one of the best defenses in the league. You know, they get a borderline. We won't get in this conversation. Borderline Hall of Fame quarterback and Matt Stafford, ready to prove he's still got some stuff left in the tank. You know, running back situation up in the air. They have a solid receiving core. I'm gonna lean towards the Rams on this one.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. I think this one was an easy pick for me. If Justin Fields was actually starting Austin, I'd probably have a harder time picking against the Bears. But the certified Hall of Famer in Matthew Stafford
He'll be in by halftime, by the way.
has even better targets this year. Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, Robert Woods, Sony Michel coming in from the Patriots, Darrell Henderson out of the backfield. I think that their defense obviously is going to lock them down with Jalen Ramsey, Johnson the third. Oh, did I forget Aaron Donald pressuring Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton's hair is going to be gray by halftime. You're not even going to be able to recognize the Ed Sheeran wannabe. But this is an easy pick for me. I think the Rams are gonna prove that they are not only a great defense, but they're now a high-scoring offense. And this is what Sean McVay has been wanting. He's been wanting a quarterback that can sling the ball, that can get the offense going with all the wide receivers that they do have. So easy pick for me.
All right. We'll be interested to see how easy the pick is for the next game, Tyler. I'll let you.
I will say I think the Rams have such a better chance of winning that division with Matthew Stafford. So I think that without Matthew Stafford, they would probably finish third. I think they have a chance of finishing. I think they're going to finish number one personally. I think they're going to outdo the Seahawks. I know you probably agree.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're a top 4 or 5 team in the NFC. I'd put them right behind the obviously the Packers, the Bucks. Who else am I thinking of? No, they're probably top 3 or 4. I'd say the Cowboys, them and the Cowboys probably round out the top 4.
That's a solid top 4. I think McVay rejuvenates Matthew Stafford's career and kind of helps him out. He's going to have that Brady-esque kind of feel to him where he's going to be releasing the ball a lot sooner. He has options in Cooper Kupp in the slot and then Robert Woods coming across the other side. I think it's just going to help his confidence a lot more than obviously in Detroit.
Yeah, no, that'll be an interesting dynamic duo right there, McVay and Stafford. So rounding it out, the first Monday night football game of the season, nationally televised, we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Tyler, I mean, initially I was thinking it's going to be all Ravens. Obviously, they got hit with, as big of an injury bug as I've ever seen in the offseason, losing their top 2 running backs, their top corner, I believe, and then there was a 4th one in there. I can't remember. Part of me wanted to go Raiders,
new and then you're like,
new stadium,
favorite team.
New stadium. They got some decent pieces there. Josh Jacobs, I don't think you can get arrested for running the ball under the influence, so he should be fine this season, Kenyon Drake. But I just got to stick with the better coach team and the better, well-rounded team. Ravens still have a solid defense. I don't love it, but I'm going to, almost borderline coin flip on this one, Tyler. I'm not going to completely bash the Raiders. I'm going to give the Ravens the slight edge in this one.
I mean, yeah, the Ravens have a great quarterback, Lamar Jackson. They also lost Rashard Bateman due to injury. I think that's the other one that you were thinking of. Losing J.K. Dobbins, losing Gus Edwards. Obviously they signed Lev Bell. They signed Devontae Freeman. Hell, they even signed Latavius Murray today. So they have the running backs at some point. But that's not going to be, Monday night against the Raiders. Las Vegas coming in. First game, Allegiant Stadium with fans. It's going to be booming. They got fucking clubs in the south side end zone with drinks being served. They're going to, every time Josh Jacobs has a touchdown, they're going to be throwing fucking gin and tonics, Red Bull vodkas at them. Strippers dancing on the north side. They got probably stripper poles, casinos. They got everything. DJ Pauly D on DJ. This is the Raiders game, and I'm going to give it to the Raiders. If this game... Again, I've been saying this all episode. If this game was a little bit further down the line, I think this would be the opposite way. But I think Raiders statistically always come out strong. First game of the season. I don't love their team, but I think that they have enough to beat this injury-ridden Ravens team right now. So I'm going to go Raiders in the upset over the Ravens. I know everybody's going with the Ravens, but I just can't go against them at home. First game with all fans. John Gruden's going to come out hyped. He's going to have a red face looking like Chucky. So I got to go with the boys on this one.
Who they got performing there at their club? They got Aoki or Marshmallow?
I mean, they honestly might even have Mr. Worldwide. Dale.
That'd be crazy. It's going to be popping off in Las Vegas. Tyler, above all else, I'm excited for football to be back. I know you are too.
Yesterday I will say, because I work 2 minutes from the stadium. Yesterday it was so crazy in Tampa at 2:00, and at that time I had this instant relief upon me. It was like football's back. There's nothing better in the world than when football is going on. I don't know what it is. I think all of our friends come together to play fantasy. We're shit-talking each other. We have this bond together for the next 6 months. And the No Look podcast will have it. Regardless of shitty takes, shit-pumping games of the week, speak it into existing games. We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. All right. Above all else, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of No Look podcast. Stay tuned. I believe probably OC5 is up next. Not sure exactly when he comes on, but I know he is during the day. Tyler, I don't know if you're a Raiders fan or a Bucks fan, but good luck to your team this season. Fuck your fantasy team. I hope I put your dick in the dirt in the both leagues that we're in together when we face off, especially this first week in our friend league, which, you started out strong with Cooper, but Godwin, he's no slump. He had 27 points, so.
Good luck, my friend.
Good luck. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Enjoy your weekends. I got to go to work.
Love you.